Lulu was out for her usual morning walk when she took a wrong turn and found herself in the woods. She tried to retrace her steps, but soon realized she was lost. She began to panic, but then she remembered her training and started using her nose to sniff out a way home. She met all kinds of creatures along the way, but she was too scared to speak to them. Eventually, her nose led her to a house made of dog treats. It looked delicious, but she knew better than to eat anything she found in the woods. Suddenly, an evil witch appeared and tried to trap Lulu in the house. But Lulu was too smart for her and used her nose to find the door and escape. She was finally home safe and sound, and she vowed never to wander off the path again.
It had been years since the car had been driven. It sat in the driveway, slowly being taken over by rust and weeds. The windows were boarded up and the tires were long gone. But to a young boy, it was the most beautiful car he had ever seen. He dreamed of fixing it up and taking it for a spin. One day, he gathered some scrap metal and started working on the car. It took months of hard work, but eventually, the car was roadworthy again. The young boy took it for a spin around the block, feeling like the luckiest kid in the world. Even though it was just an old rust bucket, to him it was the most special car in the world.
Many of us were told as children that we need to eat our vegetables to be healthy. And it turns out, our parents were right. A diet rich in vegetables has been linked with a lower risk of developing many chronic diseases, including heart disease, stroke, cancer, and type 2 diabetes. Vegetables are also an important source of vitamins and minerals, including potassium, dietary fiber, folate A-B vitamin, and vitamins A and C. In addition, eating vegetables has been linked to better bone health, dental health, and cognitive function. So make sure to include plenty of veggies in your next meal.
There are an estimated 10,000 different species of birds in the world, making them one of the most diverse groups of animals on the planet. Birds can be found in every habitat, from the tundra to the arid desert, and come in a dizzying array of shapes, sizes, and colors. For many people, birds are simply beings that exist outside their windows or that they might see on a nature hike. However, for birdwatchers, these creatures are a source of never-ending fascination. Birdwatching can be a relaxing hobby or a lifelong passion, and it offers a unique opportunity to connect with nature. Each time you go birdwatching, you have the chance to encounter new species and learn more about the incredible world we live in.
If you're an advanced learner, you may find that most reading materials are either too easy or too difficult. However, there are a few resources that can provide you with the challenge you need to continue developing your language skills. One way to find appropriate texts is to look for articles from reliable news sources. These articles are typically well-written and free from errors, making them ideal for advanced learners. Another option is to search for literary texts from classic authors. While these works can be more challenging, they offer a great opportunity to expand your vocabulary and learn about new grammar structures.
Damage to any one part of the brain may affect one's overall ability to process humor. Peter Dirks, a professor of psychology, conducted his research with a group of scientists at NASA Langley in Hampton. Using a sophisticated electroencephalogram, EEG, they measured the brain activity of 10 people exposed to humorous stimuli. How quickly our brain recognizes the incongruity that deals with most humor and attaches an abstract meaning to it determines whether we laugh. However, Different people find different jokes funny. That can be due to a number of factors, including differences in personality, intelligence, mental state, and probably mood. But according to Dirks, the majority of people recognize when a situation is meant to be humorous. In a series of experiments, he noticed that several patients recovering from brain injuries could not distinguish between something funny and something not.
The jokes tickled the frontal lobes. The scans also showed activity in the nucleus accumbens, which is likely related to our feeling of mirth after hearing a good joke and our addiction to humor. While his research was about humor, the results could help lead to answers and solutions to depression. Parts of the brain that are active during humor are actually abnormal in patients with depression. Eventually, brain scans might be used to assess patients with depression and other mood disorders. The research may also explain why some stroke victims lose their sense of humor or suffer from other personality changes. The same part of the brain is also associated with social and emotional judgment and planning.
Even though we may know more about what parts of the brain are responsible for humor, it is still hard to explain why we don't laugh or giggle when we tickle ourselves. Darwin theorized within the expressions of the emotions in man and animals that there was a link between tickling and laughter because of the anticipation of pleasure. Because we cannot tickle ourselves and have caused laughter, Darwin speculated surprise from another person touching a sensitive spot must have caused laughter. Some scientists believe that laughing caused by tickling is a built-in reflex even babies have. If we tickle ourselves in the same spot as our friend tickled us, we do not laugh as we did previously. The information sent to our spinal cord and brain should be exactly the same. Apparently, for tickling to work, the brain needs tension and surprise. When we tickle ourselves, we know exactly what will happen. There is no tension or surprise.
The genome of the polar bear may also provide the solution for another condition, one that particularly affects our older generation: osteoporosis. This is a disease where bones show reduced density, usually caused by insufficient exercise, reduced calcium intake, or food starvation. Bone tissue is constantly being remodeled, meaning that bone is added or removed, depending on nutrient availability and the stress that the bone is under. Female polar bears, however, undergo extreme conditions during every pregnancy. Once autumn comes around, these females will dig maternity dens in the snow and will remain there throughout the winter, both before and after the birth of their cubs. This process results in about 6 months of fasting, where the female bears have to keep themselves and their cubs alive, depleting their own calcium and calorie reserves. Despite this, their bones remain strong and dense.
Djoser was the first king of the third dynasty of Egypt and the first to build in stone. Prior to Djoser's reign, tombs were rectangular monuments made of dried clay brick, which covered underground passages where the deceased person was buried. For reasons which remain unclear, Djoser's main official, whose name was Imhotep, conceived of building a taller, more impressive tomb for his king by stacking stone slabs on top of one another, progressively making them smaller, to form the shape now known as the step pyramid. Djoser is thought to have reigned for 19 years, but some historians and scholars attribute a much longer time for his rule, owing to the number and size of the monuments he built.
Like, share, subscribe the channel, and press the bell icon for further updates.